This episode of Kind of Funny Gamescast is brought to you by Blue Apron. Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Their mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. They achieve this by supporting a more sustainable food system, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Not all ingredients are created equal. Fresh, high-quality ingredients make a real difference, so it's important to know where your food comes from. Greg Miller is all about it, as you might have seen from his hashtag Cooking with Greggy series. To this day, he swears by that buffalo chicken sando. Here's a little taste, see what I did there, of upcoming meals: spicy shrimp, pork chops, and garlic piccata mushroom and chipotle pepper enchiladas with lime sour cream. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/gamecast. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/gamecast. Blue Apron, a better way to cook. Final topic of the day. I want to talk about Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
HD 2.8.
I like how you said final topic of the day and Kevin shook his head in disgust.
I went along today. Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 final chapter prologue. How's that?
Rolls off the tongue.
I played it. I beat it. Or I beat at least the sections that matter to me that I haven't played before. This game, obviously, you guys, I don't know if you are familiar. This is a collection of Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance. That was the one that came out on 3DS a couple years back. This is Kingdom Hearts Point 2, Birth by Sleep, A Fragmentary Passage.
Again, rolls off the tongue.
Which is essentially
the remake of the PSP, right?
No, this is the most exciting part of this package. It is a new game. It is kind of a Ground Zeroes-esque.
Is this the one that runs on the engine for the next Kingdom Hearts?
Yes, this is running in the Unreal 4 engine.
Okay.
So it looks like Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to look, but this is a sequel to Birth by Sleep, which is the PSP game. And it kind of ties into where we're going to be playing Kingdom Hearts 3 story-wise or whatever. And then Kingdom Hearts, little X sign back cover. I've heard people say it's key, but I don't know. I don't really understand.
They renamed the X.
It's key. They should spell it
Key.
K-E-Y.
They didn't, though. They didn't do that. And that's a movie. It's a CG movie that is kind of a retelling with...
Explains it all.
Added story points? No, of the mobile game that came out recently, Kingdom Hearts Key, whatever. And it is like the most early part of the story. Like it goes back in the timeline earlier than we've ever seen so far. So I watched the movie and I beat the Point 2 Birth by Sleep Fragmentary Passage. Took me about 2 hours. So again, it's more of a Ground Zeroes experience, or like Final Fantasy Sky, the demo that they put out years ago, Final Fantasy 15. It's and Dream Drop Distance I played before, so I didn't get into it now and didn't really feel the need to. Is it worth, full price for essentially just the Point 2 Birth by Sleep? Because I doubt many of you want to replay Dream Drop Distance. No, not necessarily. It is cool playing how Kingdom Hearts 3 is going to feel. I liked it. The graphics are real pretty. The environments are awesome. The characters themselves look a little off because like Donald and Mickey and all the more the I don't know the difference between the anthropomorphic humans and anthropomorphic animals. Like the animals look off because there's something about the humans have more features and stuff that I'm like, all right, cool, I buy this look on them. There's more detail, but with Mickey, whose face is really just a circle, with other little circles on it, it kind of looks off. I feel like it needs more. The engine it's using and the style it's using, it could use a bit more shadows, I think. It doesn't look cell shaded, and I think it could have helped if it did. It could just use a bit more depth in some of the looks, because it looks a little too clean for my taste, especially when the environments look so nice. From a gameplay perspective, it's Kingdom Hearts, and man, it's been a while since I've played a core Kingdom Hearts game. And it feels good. It's exactly what I wanted, and especially having just come off Final Fantasy 15, which is a very action-heavy game compared to other Final Fantasies, and a lot of people compare it to Kingdom Hearts. I'm like, oh, no, Kingdom Hearts. I like this shit.
Yeah.
And I loved the battle system in 15, but this is what I wished it was. This is when you first saw the demos of Versus 13 back in the day. I was like, this is the type of gameplay that I fell in love with Kingdom Hearts over a decade ago. This fragmentary passage, you play as Aqua, who is one of the main characters in Birth by Sleep. It's great getting to play as her again. Last time was when Birth by Sleep came out, which I think was like 2007. So it's definitely been a while. Story-wise, you don't get too much in this. It's a little over-the-top Kingdom Hearts-esque in terms of dialogue. And to be honest, I found myself being the least interested I've ever been.
Wow. You finally grown up?
Just because it's been a way, and I think there's a very, very big reason for that. I feel like on one side of it is Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 even were really about Disney. It's about going to the Disney World. It's doing like meeting the Disney characters, and everything had to do with that. As the series went on with, they're not spin-offs, but with the side stories, it got more and more into its own convolutedness of here's the original characters and here's the heartless version of them and here's the I don't even remember all the names of all the different shit it is, but it's like there's three dudes that look exactly the same, but they have different names and they're all different versions of the same person. And it got to a point that I'm playing this, I'm like, I do not remember anything at all. And hearing the dialogue in this game, I'm like, oh man, I don't even care to try to figure it out. And I know that's an insult to a lot of people that love this, but it's just like, it just feels like when I played through Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 a long time ago, I was obviously younger and in a different place. And that doesn't take away even now from those games because I love them so much, but I feel like I put up with all the weird anime kind of just tropes because I liked the gameplay and Disney stuff so much.
Yeah.
But when it is just melodrama and like talking about the darkness for the 10th time and my heart this and the light there, and it's just like, holy shit, this is bad.
Yeah,
this is really bad. But then as it went on, things started to get a bit more familiar, and there's Cinderella's castle and Snow White's forest and all that shit. I'm like, all right, cool. Can't wait to see this in Kingdom Hearts 3. But I think that's the problem, is this was such a
coming 2020.
Yeah, such a demo. And such like a little like, hearing Goofy was something special for sure.
You motherfuckers down us.
I don't know. I was just a little let down in that sense because I want to love this franchise more than anything, but it's like it just feels like it's giving me reasons to not
stay away.
But as it ended, I can't wait for Kingdom Hearts 3 even more. So I'm like, all right, cool, because it does seem like it's going to be giving me those things that I want so much. Like they pretty heavy-handedly explain, like we're getting back to all that stuff. Like we're moving past this whole side story characters that we made up shit. And the end of this game, the 2-hour experience. Well, throughout it, there's boss fights and they're super awesome. This is kind of a Kingdom Hearts game minus the other going to the different worlds, just condensed down into 2 hours. To that extent, I like it a lot because it's you start off with very limited abilities and you gain all the different abilities, whether it's being able to roll or jump and do your little glide thing and all that's the combos and stuff. You gain them all really quickly. So I appreciate that. So I did feel a nice sense of progression with the battle systems and all that. Camera still just as iffy as it's always been, but that's what happens when you're doing a third-person action game with hundreds of characters on the screen at once with the Heartless. But the boss fights are super epic, especially the last 2 or 3 in it. And I was really impressed by their scale. It reminded me of like God of War 3. So that's cool. And there's a twist at the end that made it all kind of worth it for me. Or
Spider-Man?
From a story. No, I wish. From a story perspective, where I was like, oh shit, cool. So this is how it ties into Kingdom Hearts.
Been dead all along.
Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2. Mickey's in it a lot, which I really like, because Mickey's more of like the Yoda character of the series, where it's like the moments he's there really matter. But with this, because you are Aqua, who's a bit higher leveled than like Sora or whoever. I'm sure you're familiar.
Totally.
Them being side by side, it makes a bit more sense in a way that's not just him saving your ass. So that's super cool. It was hilarious playing the game with Gia cooking, because like she just keeps seeing this stuff. She's like, wow, the writing in this is fucking horrible. And I'm like, yeah, you just got to put up with it, whatever. And I just keep playing. And then all of a sudden she hears Mickey talk. She's like, wait a minute, Mickey Mouse is in this game? So that was hilarious. But anyway, and the movie was just even more shit, where I'm just like, I just don't understand who the audience is for this, for like all of this weird backstory stuff. And there's obviously a lot of people, because people fucking love this game and love the franchise. But I just like, there's something I love about the franchise, and then there's all the other shit. And I feel like this game really made me realize that there's a lot more that I put up with to get to the things I like. then I think is really worth the time overall. But going back to it, love Kingdom Hearts 1, love Kingdom Hearts 2, and 3, hopefully is that more condensed experience of here's the things I like about it. Because I feel like this is kind of the answer of making all the side stories worth it, combining together in a way that leads us to the next one.
This is the Avengers.
Kind of. Well, Kingdom Hearts 3 will be the Avengers.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. This is the Thor movie that you had to watch that you didn't really want to.
Dark World.
Did you see the story that they released about Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 7 R? Like, I think it was maybe a week ago, where they were like, not anytime soon. It was basically a story of just them being like, because everyone thinks it's soon, and I'm like, no, of course it's not. Of course it's not soon. That's why they're releasing all these things now to give you a little piecemeal approach. Clearly, Kingdom Hearts has a big fan base. I just feel bad for everyone waiting for this game. It feels like forever, and it's going to be forever more.
So Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue is going to be out by the time you're watching this. And then Kingdom Hearts HD Remix 1.5, 2.5. I don't know what they're actually calling it. It's coming on PlayStation 4. And that's all of the Kingdom Hearts games thus far in HD on PS4, minus the stuff that I just mentioned earlier for this. So definitely cool. If you haven't played Dream Drop Distance, I do think it's worth it because that is a good game, and experiencing it in HD is going to be awesome in addition to Birth by Sleep. But just buying it for Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage, I don't think it's necessarily worth it. Okay. But if you're super into the kind of story and narrative of this whole thing, there is a cool twist that I do think pulls it all together. So it would be worth it for you in that case. So now, as always,
we're
going to you over at kindoffunny.com/gamescast topic, where you can leave your topic.
This episode won't end, Kevin. I'm sorry.
Kevin's so angry. All over there. Sick as a dog.
When did we start the last topic? Okay.
Jesus.
I've never seen him sound worse than this. All right. We got a question from Ghost Jacobs. If you guys could get the inside story on any canceled game, PT, Agent, Scalebound, etc., which one would you choose?
Agent is a really good choice since it involves Sony and Rockstar, and that would be all sorted and fucked up.
I guess I would say PT because I want to know everything with Kojima and Konami. Because I don't care so much about that game as much as their relationship deteriorating. But it'd be awesome to hear like how Norman Reedus and Guillermo del Toro are on board, and then like it all starts falling apart, and what those conversations are between Kojima and them. Yeah, maybe I'll ask at RTX Sydney.
Games wise, I'd probably say Star Wars 1313, just because that looked so awesome, and it was so exciting, and then for it to just not happen is really sad. Yeah. But in terms of like juicy stories and shit, I think PT is the definitive answer. StarCraft Ghost. I don't care too much about StarCraft, but that was such an interesting development as well.
Sure.
That was a long time ago, though. Johns Bernardino. What flaw could a game have that would break the experience for you no matter how good the rest of it is?
I'm not much of a frame rate savant, but skipping or framey games in terms of like inconsistent frame rates definitely ruin them for me. If you're going to run at 25 frames, that's fine. It's not great, but it's fine. But just run at 25 frames. You know,
yep. I'd be the inverse of Colin, and if it was only inverted, I'm like, I can't play this. I can't. I don't care how great this game's supposed to be. I can't do it.
Yeah, I'm really picky about controls. For example, in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, I just couldn't keep playing it because when you drove the car, you had to use the analog stick. You couldn't use the D-pad. And there's just something about third-person driving where I like the precision of just, the D-pad kind of just moving over slightly, so that the analog just always felt off to me. And in the beginning of that game, you play on the bicycle, and it was the same way where you had to use the analog. And I was just like, I just can't do this. Like, it just bothers me. And I know it's such a nitpicky, stupid thing. But whenever a game has one little control aspect that I'm like, ooh, this just fucking feels wrong.
Yeah.
It gets to the point that I'm just going to stop playing. Sean Zulu. How long and crazy have your most insane gaming binges been?
I don't know. I haven't had a gaming binge probably since I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean, the one I go back to is a story I've told a million times where Poe we both bought NCAA football that year, and he brought his PS2 over, and we set up a second TV downstairs in that card table, and I'll never forget walking him out of the house that morning, and as the sun was rising, I was like, fuck.
Yeah. All the Halo games we had crazy binges for, whether it was Halo 1, me and my friends would just play Capture the Flag for fucking hours and hours and hours, but then when Halo 2 and Halo 3 and 4 came out, we all got together and played through the campaign in one sitting. And that was always a really intense time because, I mean, those games, they're not that long, but some of them go upwards of 12 hours. And like sitting straight through, like we would not stop till we beat it. So those were definitely some of my more insane things. Smash Bros, I mean, I'm sure I played that game for hours on end at one time. Specifically, probably Melee would be the most, but I'm not a binge type of guy when it comes to gaming. Like it hits a point where I'm like, all right,
I gotta do something else.
I need to sleep.
I mean, that was the whole thing with the wrestling N64 games, where I would take the day off school the day after they came out, so I could play as long as I could, then sleep downstairs in the TV, video game room, and then wake up and play more.
Yeah. Movie Buff wants to know, with today's climate, what are games that you think do politics correctly? I feel like this is kind of an easy answer, but I think Metal Gear Solid overall has always done a good job of presenting different opinions, as convoluted as they are, and different perspectives on politics and thinking that way. And it wasn't really until Metal Gear Solid 2 that I even really ever thought about our political system or ever thought about our government not being good, and the government like doing shady shit. I was probably 11 at the time, so it's not like that crazy. But like that was a game that made me think about what it means to be a president and the people close to the president and all that stuff.
I mean, it's funny because I've been pondering the idea of doing politics in games and why it's good and why there should be more. Because I hate when people say, keep your politics and your social stances and everything on the games. And I'm like, fuck you. Like that shit, it makes good art. That shit makes for good storytelling. If you don't want politics and social views and points of view in your games, that's part of the reason that you're holding your medium back. That's like saying, keep your politics out of like every piece of literature that's ever been written. It's silly. And so I think that there is a lot of subtle politics in a lot of games. And I like the way games like Banner Saga and even Final Fantasy Tactics and stuff deal with fictional politics. And I think that kind of stuff's important, but I think that it's essential that we let this stuff seek, whether it's realistic or based on real stuff like Metal Gear or based totally on fictional stuff like a lot of the games we play. I think it's important that it's there because I think it's a good storytelling device. That's why House of Cards is so fucking good. That's why, but it doesn't have to be overt like I'm pro-choice or I'm pro-life politics. Politics, small p politics can mean almost anything, and small s social views or the way you look at the world, that, that engineers the way we play games, and that engineers the way we receive stories. And so I think lots of games do that really well. And I think we talked about The Last of Us as another game that deals with a pretty significant social issue very well, so well that it never even touched on it in the first game, and it only expanded on it in the DLC, and it made you look at the entire other game differently. And I think that that's cool.
Yeah, I think indie games are doing it. A lot of indie games are in the same way Colin's talking about, that they're art. So people are bringing their perspective to it. I'm playing through 2064 read-only memories right now still. And one of the big things that's going on in that universe is genetic modification. And if that makes you less than human, and what if you're doing it's people who are doing it, Jim Sterling's character in the game is a guy who's fiercely anti that movement, right? And feels that those people aren't human anymore. They're no longer human once they go through this genetic modification or whatever. And to hear that character's arguments and then talk to the people who've been genetically modified and why they did it. It's not, some people are doing it, yes, just for, giving themselves cat ears and tails and stuff because that's their kink or whatever. But then there's this one character in the game who you meet who's super, a bitch when you first meet her, but it's, based on the fact that she had to do this to stay alive, but she's being looped in with all these other people. So why would we want to shut? And it's like this really fascinating thing that is goofy on its top level, right? Of like, oh, people are turning themselves into fucking cats or whatever. It's like this next step for furries or whatever. But then to get into it and start thinking about it and start applying it back to the politics in our world, you see those parallels.
Yeah.
I think it's important that we keep telling stories like that and challenge people and challenge their preconceptions. I think that's what, like, imagine BioShock if it wasn't political. It would be impossible to tell that story. But it's one of the great stories ever told in games. And it's a bastardization of libertarianism. And I have libertarian leanings, and I'm not offended by that. I don't care. Yeah. It's interesting. Well,
that's when games are at their best, right? Or stories are at their best when they get to put us in somebody else's shoes and challenge the way we think about something.
Yeah, and even say that it's wrong, and even say that it's
not agree.
This is the end result of your point of your beliefs. And I'm like, well, I don't agree, but it's very interesting. It's about having. You can tell when someone's really confident in the way they believe, and when they just don't want to be challenged and they want to just be told children's stories, basically. And so, more politics, the better.
Yeah,
and I mean that in the small p way. You know all about the small p.
Damn.
I don't.
Of course, it's the Mushroom Kingdom as well. They handle that shit well. This was from my dude, David Blodell. Shout out to you. Where are all the 3DSs? It's like Nintendo just quietly stopped making them or something. None within 250 miles of me.
Damn.
Good signs. I've been seeing a lot of these people tweeting me pictures of just like their targets and there being no 3DSs. So that's good.
Stop making 3DS games.
Just fucking stop. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's the only
Similar to
thing.
Vita, right? All right, there's whatever.
Yeah. And then final question for the
I thought you meant where are people playing them? Because that's the other thing too. Mine just sits down there. I never touch one.
I see people playing them all the time.
I was going through. I have like I don't know hundreds of PS3 and PS4 games on the shelf and Vita games, and there was my 3DS was on top of one of them, but I was taking one out and it just like fell onto the rug or whatever, and I was like, oh, there you are. I haven't seen you in a while.
This one's from Barack Attack. He says, Thumper. Haven't played Thumper. Play Thumper, then talk about it next week. Kind of funny Kevin knows. You guys play Thumper?
I did, yeah.
What do y'all think of Thumper?
It's interesting. It's like a very abstract musical game, VR music game.
Yeah,
I loved Thumper.
Yeah. Yeah, I played it. I think I played it at some PSVR demo, and it's on. And it's been one of those that I see on my unit all the time. And I was like, when I set up that VR room, maybe I'll fuck around with it. Now it's set up.
Thumper, one of my favorite games I played on PSVR, but it's not because of the VR stuff. I don't think that's really necessary. It kind of adds to the whole effect of it. But the game, it's just a fun game. But I do feel like it lacks a depth that rhythm games need in order to
what's the level. Nutshell pitch of what's happening in the game?
You're kind of going along on a roller coaster style thing, and you just need to dodge obstacles random.
But in time with the music,
and yeah, it's in time to music, but it's like in a fairly indirect way where there's just music happening, and like you can see the pattern where it's kind of like a much more pretty, less cartoony, dumbed down version of Parappa the Rapper, where like you know like when you're supposed to hit the things, but based on you see 3 obstacles, so it's like boom, 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 based on how far apart they are. But
gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't beat it, but I played a lot of it, and it hit a point where I'm like, all right, cool, I get it. And I don't need to keep playing. Yeah. But it's a lot of fun, though, and it is good. And if you have PSVR, there's not much else to play, so you might as well get it. Try it. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ben, kind of funny Gamescast.
It's over, Kevin.
Until next time, I love you.